car next to me is known by some as the Catfish Camaro. It's got a reputation for being the worst Camaro of all time. It's ugly. It creaks and cracks and sounds like it's falling apart. But today, we're gonna look at why people hate it, and then I'll show you why it's the most underrated Camaro ever built. We're going bumper to bumper on the Catfish Camaro. Big thank you to this week's sponsor, Bumper to Bumper, Audible. Now, Audible is like reading for your ears, which is great for me because my ears soak in information much better than my eyes. With thousands of titles to choose from, there's an audiobook for everyone. I'm excited to listen to How to Build a Car, an autobiography of the world's greatest Formula One designer. But say you want to chill out, you want to listen to some fiction, Audible has got you covered. Or say you want to jumpstart 2020 with some self-help titles. Help is on the way. Or how about some romance? You bet your hot and steamy buns they got romance audiobooks. Get your ears wet with a 30-day Audible trial that gets you your first audiobook plus 2 Audible originals for free. Visit audible.com/bumper to bumper or text bumper to bumper to 500-500. And thank you for supporting the companies that support Donut. We love you. So this is actually my car. It's a 2001 4th gen F-body Camaro. And in fact, the clip of James and Up to Speed is the reason I subscribed to Donut before I started working here.
Where'd you get that bitch Camaro? What you got in there? 7-liter LS, big cams, blow popping out of the hip?
So to prove just how controversial this Camaro is, we posted some pictures of the car on our Donut Instagram. And so I'm gonna read some of these comments right now. It's a Camaro, they're not attractive cars, and slow, and have terrible grip, says Shady Magician. Least favorite gen, but still an SS, that's right, it's an SS, baby. Pretty damn 90s looking, looks like a fish, catfish looking ass. Not a fan. So, as you can see, some people like this car a lot. Some people don't like it. Part of the reason is that this car just looks very super 90s-esque. And so that's why some people really liked it and they didn't. I mean, it took away all those sharp lines, really rounded everything up, but they did it by design. This car actually has the lowest drag coefficient of any Camaro ever built. That's pretty crazy. I mean, the windshield itself has a 68-degree rake. It just slips on through the air like a catfish slips on through the water. So one of the reasons this car is so underrated is because of the looks. But if you can get past it, you got a really, really cool car. And one of the things that make this car really sweet, and the reason I bought it, is because it's got T-tops. So the main reason to have a T-top, so you look freaking cool as heck, dude. We haven't done a T-top car on Bumper to Bumper. It's different than a Target top. You might have seen that video of that 1,000 horsepower Supra. It was a Target top. And when it took off, you could see the frame literally flex. Well, a T-top has this centerpiece right here, and this adds structural rigidity to the chassis. It prevents that flexing. But one of the things that's super annoying about this car, and why a lot of people hate on it even today, is bubbling sail. Now from 1998 on, all F-body sail panels were adhered to the body using a urethane base glue. The problem with that is that the glue seeps through the panel and it causes the bubbles to rise up to the top of the panel. Now you could sand this piece down if you want it and repaint it, but the urethane glue is still leaching and it's still gonna come up and create more bubbles. Literally the only way that you can fix this is if you completely remove it and replace it. That's it. You can't paint it, you can't bonder it, you can't wrap it, you can't do any of that. And that's why this car in particular gets a lot of flack. It has some of those 90s GM manufacturing flaws, and this is a major one of them. Speaking of shoddy 90s GM manufacturing, let's go on the inside and check out some things people don't really like about this car. There's a lot. So we're in here and it is typical 90s GM. You have kind of this cheap plasticky looking wrap around everything. This car had an option for leather, so it's a little bit nicer, but for the most part, it's pretty boring 90s GM. Just take, for instance, this head unit. They use this thing in a ton of GM cars, in the Corvette, the Sunfire, the Grand Prix, Suburban. Gets a lot of crap, but you know what? It works. This thing has never failed me, so I can't complain on that. Now the steering wheel, it's not very pretty. I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but for most beholders, this is not very pretty. It's big, it's clunky. Funny fact, if you're having a CD in here and you wanna mute it, you think it would pause it. It doesn't pause it, it just mutes it. So that's interesting, kind of annoying. This car in particular has the Monsoon sound system. It also has this thing called SCV, and basically what that means that it has this little knob right here, and as you twist it, it will increase the volume as you increase speed in the car. So they know that this car is not very quiet when you drive it down the road. And as you're going 70 miles an hour, if you have this turned on, the volume of whatever you're playing will increase to cancel out all the road noise. Now, one thing that's really cool in here, and probably the coolest, is this Hurst shifter right here. Now, not all cars came with this. This was an added option. One of the weird things about this car is that it has a skip shift feature, and basically you weren't able to shift from first to second if you were below a certain RPM. You had to go from first, skip second, skip third, go to fourth. They did it for fuel economy purposes. It just caused people to always push this thing to the red line before they shift it. That's why everyone's freaking hooning these cars out, baby, because they don't want to have to skip shift. Another annoying feature is that this car comes with two different sets of keys. One key for the ignition, and then another set of keys for the doors, the T-tops, and the trunk. Oftentimes, these keys would go bad, and you weren't able to start your car. Pain in the rectum. So the cock is pretty boring inside. It's pretty basic, but in actuality, this car is really, really comfortable. The seats are really comfortable. The driving position is comfortable. I've driven, plenty of road trips in this car, and it's done amazingly well. And you know what? You don't need MP3s when you got a case of CDs. Let's see what we got going on in my collection here. Now, this did not come with the car. Say you're in the mood for some Skane Gate. How about 50 Cent? Mariah Carey music box. Indica Soul. Dang, man, the hits just keep coming. Let's start this bad boy up. Sounds pretty sweet, huh? So what's making all that beautiful noise? Well, why don't we go under the hood, check out this LS engine. A Buffalo Soldier. So this is an LS1 engine. It's an all aluminum block. GM rated the horsepower of this engine at about 325 horsepower. Now this has some added SLP features, but basically it's the exact same motor that was in the Corvette. And the Corvette was rated at 345 horsepower. So if they are the same, why are the horsepower figures different? Well, it's pretty simple actually. GM didn't want to sell a cheaper car with the same motor that was in the Corvette, so they downrated the horsepower. But in fact, this makes the same amount of power, they just rated it at rear wheel horsepower versus crank horsepower. So as I said before, this is an SS model. And if you don't know about the SS model of these cars, what GM did is they would build Z28s and then they ship them off to SLP, which stands for Street Legal Performance, and they would modify the cars and turn them into SSs. Now, SSs have a couple features. They have different wheels, they have a different wing in the back, and they have a different hood right here. Although it's not really functional, it's just more or less aesthetics. The air comes in right through here. Air will go boom, boom, boom. So it does a full 360. However, this is a closed air box. So it doesn't really do anything, funny enough. They say it's a ram air, but it's not really a ram air. Another great thing about the LS is that these things get incredibly good gas mileage. You have a 300 plus horsepower pushrod V8 that's getting you 30 miles a gallon on the highway. That's crazy. Because the LS was such a good engine and you could put it in pretty much anything, people would buy these cars complete, take the LS1 out, and then scrap the car. And they could do that because the Catfish was so cheap, which leads me to my next point, and that's the price of these cars. It took me about 3 years to find this one. I wanted one with a bunch of different options. I wanted an SS, I wanted some of the SLP stuff. But if you're not as picky as me, say you want a Z28, you can get these things for so cheap if you're not all that picky. You can get a 6-speed American V8 with 300 plus horsepower for less than $5,000. And then you could dump probably twice as much money and have you a crazy fast American muscle hot rod. So if you get one, hit me up on Instagram at Jeremiah Burr and let me know what you got. Send me some pictures. I want to build this Catfish Camaro nation. Follow us on Instagram at Donut Media. Click the subscribe button. We got a bunch of new shows coming out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye for now.
What's your name?
Kathy.
Is it Catfish?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I call my girlfriend Kathy. I say she looks like it. She gets pissed. I named my car after my girlfriend. Big mistake when your car looks like a fish that people literally throw in the trash.